What is up, guys? Welcome back to New Gen Plus. The wait is finally hitting the home stretch because Crimson Desert is officially dropping on March 19, 2026, and it looks absolutely legendary. We're talking no microtransactions, a massive physics-based world, and a totally fresh way to progress without a single level grind. Today, we're breaking down the 10 most critical things you need to know before you jump into Pywel, and trust me, you won't believe what they've done with the playable characters, and that number 4 spot is a total game changer. Let's dive in. With Crimson Desert officially dropping on March 19th with absolutely zero microtransactions, it is time to dive into what makes this massive RPG tick. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have a total overhaul of how character progression works with the Abyss artifact system. Forget about traditional XP bars and endless level grinding. The developers are throwing that outdated loop out the window. Instead, your growth is tied directly to interacting with the world of Pywel. You earn Abyss artifacts by exploring the map, knocking out quests, and taking down powerful bosses. These rare items act as your primary key to unlock new combat skills, extend your combo chains, and permanently boost core stats like health, stamina, and spirit. But it actually gets cooler than just collecting items. The game also features a unique skill mimicry mechanic. You can learn specific combat techniques simply by observing NPCs or enemies performing them out in the wild. It is a massive push toward organic exploration rather than just staring at menu screens. The community is already praising this shift, drawing heavy comparisons to Breath of the Wild or Souls-like progression, where your power comes from tangible world discoveries instead of an arbitrary level number. Because there are no rigid classes, theory crafters are incredibly excited about the potential for build diversity. Thanks to this artifact-based upgrade system, no two players are going to build their character in exactly the same way. Coming in at number 9, we have the Playable Trio. While almost everything we have seen so far focuses heavily on Kliff McDuff, he is not the only character you will be controlling. Crimson Desert features a tactical swap system that lets you step into the shoes of two other distinct mercenaries, Damiane and Oongka. Kliff is your classic jack-of-all-trades protagonist. He is a balanced leader who can easily adapt to any situation. But when you switch over to Damiane, the gameplay completely flips. She is an agile glass cannon utilizing a rapier and ranged firearms, perfect for players who prefer evasion and rapid, precise strikes. Then there is Oongka, a massive orc who is all about brute force. You bring him out when you want to deal heavy area of effect damage and just wade into a crowd of enemies like an absolute tank. These are not just cosmetic skins either. Each character has their own unique talent trees and playstyles. The community has already been drawing heavy comparisons to the character switching in GTA 5, which is a huge compliment. There is some valid curiosity online about how unrestricted this system actually is, with players wondering if the game will lock you into specific characters for certain story arcs, or if exploring the open world with Damiane and Oongka is as robust as it is with Kliff. But honestly, building 3 predefined characters instead of a generic class system is a smart move by Pearl Abyss. It means the encounters can be custom tailored to feel incredibly cinematic and true to each specific hero. Coming in at number 8 is a feature that turns the world into a reactive playground, physics-based destructible environments. Look, we've all played open world games where a heavy attack clinks harmlessly against a wooden chair. Crimson Desert is actively trying to avoid that by using Pearl Abyss's proprietary black space engine, which was built specifically to handle massive physics-heavy interactions. You're not just fighting in an area, you're tearing it apart. We are talking about smashing through stockades, shattering fences, and bringing down entire wooden watchtowers. And the best part, the splintered debris actually persists in the environment instead of magically fading away. The physics system is a massive tactical tool. You can knock enemies into these destructible objects for extra damage, or use your grapple to interact with the environment, like using tree tension to literally slingshot yourself into the air. The engine even handles complex GPU-based simulations for clothing and water, making everything feel incredibly grounded. Of course, whenever a game looks this dynamic, a little skepticism is healthy. A lot of the community has that too good to be true feeling right now. While shattering wooden props and watchtowers looks amazing, players are heavily debating whether this destruction is fully systemic like classic Red Faction, or if it is mostly limited to specific set pieces. There's also the massive question of how console hardware will maintain a stable frame rate with all these complex physics calculations firing off at once. But if the Black Space engine can truly deliver on this vision, the environmental chaos alone is going to be incredibly fun to mess around with. Down at number 7, let's talk about the business model, or rather the lack of one. Pearl Abyss is explicitly moving away from their Black Desert online roots here. Crimson Desert is a strictly premium single-player experience. That means no MMO servers, no persistent online worlds, and best of all, absolutely no microtransactions when the game launches on March 19, 2026. Marketing director Will Powers put it bluntly, stating that you buy the game, you enjoy the world, and that is the transaction. Full stop. There are no cosmetic cash shops and no pay-to-win mechanics. It is designed to be a complete, cohesive, story-driven adventure right out of the box where you can just focus entirely on the gameplay. Naturally, considering the aggressive monetization Pearl Abyss has been known for in the past, the community reaction has been a mix of massive relief and healthy skepticism. A lot of players are taking a trust but verify approach. We have heard of these kinds of promises from the industry before, so people are waiting to see if the studio actually delivers on its ambitious narrative goals without any hidden catches. But if they stick to their word, getting a massive, uninterrupted action-adventure game for a single flat price is going to be incredibly refreshing. Coming in at number 6, we have the dynamic combat engine, and let me tell you, this is where Crimson Desert really flexes its muscles. If you are worried about clunky gameplay, you can leave those fears at the door because the developers have completely stripped away rigid animation locks. This means if you're mid-swing and see an enemy winding up, you can instantly cancel your combo into a dodge, parry, or counter. It makes the flow of battle incredibly reactive and rewards reading enemy patterns over just mashing buttons. The combat animations are highly cinematic, allowing you to seamlessly mix up melee strikes, brutal grappling moves, and elemental effects like burn, freeze, and stun. Honestly, the expressive combo chains feel closer to a character action game like Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden than your standard open world RPG. Weapon physics play a major role in how you fight too. Heavy weapons carry actual weight that visibly staggers enemies, while lighter blades let you slice through foes with lightning speed. Now, it is worth mentioning that players who got their hands on the demo noted a pretty steep learning curve. There's also a bit of community concern regarding crowded group battles. When fighting massive packs of regular enemies, aggro management can get a little messy, making the combat feel slightly chaotic, almost like a Dynasty Warriors game. But when you're locked into a smaller skirmish or a tactical fight, the sheer depth and responsiveness of this combo system absolutely shine. Coming in at number 5 is the massive playground where all this happens, the Continent of Pywel. Pearl Abyss isn't just going for raw size, though the map is estimated to be a staggering 80 to 110 square kilometers. Instead, they are pushing for a massive density of interactivity powered by their proprietary black space engine. This is a seamless open world split into 5 distinct regions, ranging from the sweeping plains of Akapen to the freezing, harsh lands of Quaiden. It is also not just a flat expanse. Pywel features serious verticality stretching from deep underground caverns all the way up to elevated mountains and floating sky islands. The world is built to react to you. NPCs follow actual daily routines, trade routes can shift based on your actions, and towns will organically recover from attacks over time. Naturally, ambition like this brings a healthy dose of skepticism. While some players are already comparing the world design to Breath of the Wild or Shadow of the Colossus, others are worried a map this large might end up feeling empty. There's also plenty of performance anxiety regarding how a world this dense will actually run on base consoles at launch, plus some early frustrations about messy inventory management, cluttering up your bags with quest items. But if the development team manages to optimize this engine and deliver on their promises, Pywel is shaping up to be an incredibly immersive and reactive world to get lost in. Coming in at number 4, let's look at the narrative driving the action, the Greymane Mercenary lore. The story kicks off after a devastating ambush by an enemy faction known as the Black Bears, led by the antagonist Mirrodin. This brutal attack leaves the Greymanes, a hardened mercenary band from the Alpine region of Payloon, completely decimated and scattered across the continent. You step into the boots of Kliff MacDuff, the group's leader, on a desperate journey of redemption. Your primary goal is to hunt down your surviving comrades, which includes the powerhouse Oongka and the stealthy Damiane, rebuild your home, and exact a whole lot of vengeance. What makes this interesting is how the lore ties directly into the squad mechanics. Crimson Desert features a mercenary management system where your deeds and choices directly impact the loyalty of your crew. You also get crucial downtime through camp life segments. Sharing meals with your squad around the fire isn't just for show, it actually unlocks Echoes of the Past, which are playable flashback missions that flesh out the tragic history of the group. Looking at community discussions, a lot of players are expecting a serviceable, action-driven plot rather than a massive Witcher 3 level narrative masterpiece. But honestly, the presentation absolutely carries it. Fans have already praised the insanely smooth transitions from gameplay to cutscenes. The facial animations and voice acting feel polished and lived in, drawing favorable comparisons to the cinematic weight of Red Dead Redemption 2. Even if the overarching plot is just a vehicle to keep you moving to the next fight, The grounded character interactions make this mercenary band feel incredibly authentic. Down to number 3, let us talk about the absolute arsenal you get to play with. Crimson Desert throws rigid class-based roles completely out the window. Instead of a traditional RPG, the combat philosophy leans way closer to a high-octane character action game. Think Devil May Cry or Ninja Gaiden. You are given a massive toolbox to experiment with, including one-handed swords, shields, greatswords, axes, spears, bows, and even firearms. But having all these tools means nothing if you cannot use them smoothly, which is where the seamless skill chaining comes in. You can transition instantly from firing off ranged shots to heavy melee strikes, and then drop your weapons entirely to hit a wrestling suplex or a choke slam right in the middle of a combo chain. Because the combat is physics-based, you can even use trees, walls, or the enemies themselves as extensions of your arsenal. The community is understandably hyped about the sheer freedom and fun factor of personalizing your playstyle, but it does come with a catch. There's a steep learning curve here. Because the game gives you so many tools without much hand-holding, it can feel a little overwhelming at first if you're used to a simple rock, paper, scissors style of combat. On top of that, there is some valid community pushback right now regarding a confusing inventory system and limited storage, which is definitely a headache when you're trying to manage all these different weapons. But once the mechanics click, the sheer versatility on display is unmatched. Down to our number 2 spot, we have to talk about the absolute spectacle that is Crimson Desert's boss fights. These are not just your standard hack and slash damage sponges. The developers are bringing in some heavy Shadow of the Colossus and Dragon's Dogma energy here. Take the White Horn boss, for example. You can physically climb onto the creature to strike its weak points. The Black Space engine handles these particle-heavy, massive encounters beautifully, featuring seamless transitions between cinematic cutscenes and actual gameplay as the boss evolves through multiple phases. The environment is also an active participant in these fights. You will find yourself in dynamic arenas where you have to use structural elements like pillars or survive extreme weather like sudden blizzards just to create an opening. And the combat variety is huge. One minute you're fighting human-sized elite enemies that purely test your parry and deflection skills, and the next you're up against massive mythical beasts that require puzzle solving and patience over sheer brute force. Fans are already comparing the cinematic presentation to God of War and the pattern recognition to Elden Ring. That said, there's a little bit of community skepticism right now. Some players have voiced concerns over certain mechanics shown in the footage, specifically bosses having excessive super armor, annoying teleportation, and some questionable hitboxes that might feel cheap rather than skill-based. But if the team can tighten up those fairness issues, these large-scale encounters are going to be absolute showstoppers. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, we have to talk about how you actually get around. The advanced traversal mechanics in Crimson Desert are absolutely wild. For a long time, players thought the movement shown in early trailers was just way too good to be true. But recent hands-on previews from March 2026 have confirmed it. The traversal really is as fluid and ambitious as promised. You gotta climb almost anything system that gives off major Tears of the Kingdom vibes, letting you scale mountains, ruins, and buildings freely. Then there's the grappling hook, which honestly brings a Spider-Man web-slinging feel to a fantasy RPG. You can slingshot off objects, swing through the environment, or seamlessly transition into a fight by pulling yourself toward enemies or dragging smaller enemies to you. Add in character-specific gliding, like floating with an umbrella or using the smoky Black Crow dash, and getting around becomes just as engaging as the fighting. If you prefer to ride, you aren't just stuck with horses. You can mount bears, dinosaur-like creatures, and even late-game rides like dragons and missile-firing dwarven mechs. All this freedom is custom-built for players who want to get completely lost in a massive map. Just keep in mind, navigating this world relies heavily on your own exploration, with the traces of the Abyss system serving as your primary way to unlock fast travel. While the community is blown away by the sheer volume of movement options, there is a valid concern floating around about a gigantic learning curve. With so many mechanics packed into one control scheme, mastering the button layouts might take some serious practice. But once it clicks, the freedom of movement here looks completely unmatched. And that's our list for 10 things we know about Crimson Desert. Hopefully you're as hyped for this one as we are. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. What did we miss? Let us know your biggest Crimson Desert hype point in the comments below. Here are some more videos of ours you can watch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.